I've done a great job as a host. So this is Steve Fisher. His company is
Fisher's Tree and Crane Service.
and he is on the north side of Shelby,
Yes, sir.
North Carolina. And I have been down to visit him a couple times, and he's usually so busy I don't get to see him. I got to see his Cracker Jack staff. They're nice folks. And as a result,
You got pictures of my place?
you got, no,
Oh. I didn't know what you was cutting on.
I'm trying to cut it off, but it won't distract the great message you're bringing to us. So, I'm sorry.
No, you're
That was stupid. I'll let Steve, Stephen, okay, Stephen, tell his story, and if he leaves anything out that I know, I'll throw it in. But I think he's got an interesting, he's a great example of an arborist guy who has to figure out what to do with the wood he takes down.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Mr. Watt hunted me down. He invited me to Maryland. I didn't make it there, but I did make it to this one. I'm an arborist. I do technical removal trees. I do trees that are in tight spots between big buildings. We have a crane service. We crane trees apart. We disassemble trees with cranes. We climb them, we rope them. Obviously, we have the bucket crews as well. We run 4 and 5 tree crews a day. We produce a lot of wood. A lot of big wood. A lot of our crane trees is massive wood. We do trees 8 foot diameter. Obviously, that many crews, that many jobs running per week, we produce a lot of wood. So I had a problem. I didn't know what to do. I started taking to the landfill. That's what I started off when I was a much smaller business. We'd go to the landfill. The landfill charges per weight. I'm sure most of y'all, a lot of y'all may have dealt with that before. It's per ton. It gets very expensive real quick. The landfill got overwhelmed with what I was bringing. So they actually cut me off. The county landfill cut me off. For one, I couldn't afford it. For two, I had to find something else. The community started coming to my property. I'm at a very busy place in Shelby, Highway 180. I'm in a good location. The community got wind of what was going on. They could come saw up my wood. They could take it. They could have it. Worked out great for both parties. Well, my insurance man rode by. I carry workman's comp. I carry general liability insurance. So that and reflect those insurance agencies were super unhappy with my decision. I started pushing in a pile and burning. Whatever I can do to get rid of it. I had to tell the community I can't give you this anymore after I've been giving them something for free all along, and that really helped me build my name as a business as well. Next thing you know, I start pushing in a pile and burning. I have a significant amount of property, 7-8 acres on a major highway. I also have some property back behind that connects to what I've got. I started pushing in a pile and burning. I started pushing, having about every 3 to 4 months, I'd have a massive burn. Next door neighbor, I say next door neighbor, they're within 500 yards of my property where I burn, complained. They continued to complain. I had permits with the state, had permits with the county. I had water tanks that I'd purchased. I purchased water pumps. The fire department actually would come and I would pay them to come visit during our burns. I would burn according to the humidity. I would burn according to the air temperature. According to the wind, the predictions of the Weather Channel, the wind. All these factors combined. Clean Air Act of Raleigh, North Carolina finally sent me certified mail, $25,000 fines. These were warnings. I did not have to pay those fines, but if I burn again, that's coming. So about 2 years ago, when I got to this point, I bought the biggest firewood processor on the market. I think that's when he got wind of me. It'll split 30-inch logs. I got an 8-foot saw blade. It's a Bell's machine. I don't know if I need to say all that.
Go ahead.
I don't want to hurt the guys that bring processors today, but Bell's Machining makes firewood processors called the 8000 series. I've got a 45-foot conveyor. It's got you're sitting in a heated cab. You got air conditioning. You got radio. You got a joystick controls. You're sitting there in air ride suspension in the cab. I can tell you the good, bad, and ugly is what he said on that paper.
Yeah.
I bought the machine, the expenses weren't done. You gotta have a man to run it. You gotta have the fuel to run that Caterpillar engine. You gotta have machines to load that engine. Rubber tire loaders, I've got excavators loading it, I've got Bobcats. It produces a lot of sawdust. It produces a lot of waste. I've got metal grates when it goes out the conveyors, things dropping down in bins. Those bins are being hauled as fast as they fill up and are moved. There's 4 men running this processor. Consider 4 salaries. Well, a couple $100,000 machine like that, that thing would split almost every log I had that was perfect and straight. It don't split knotty logs. They catch on the chain conveyors. It's got to be pretty wood. It's got to be pretty logs. Everything else, I still have that problem. So start messing with tub grinders. Start messing with excavators to load them. Creating mulching. You know, you get into the mulching business, the firewood business, you're already in the crane service and the tree service. It's just one more headache. Not only that, but the kiln man ain't sold me a kiln yet. I don't know where he is, but he's talking to the wrong guy, I guess. But, I mean, you know, basically, you know, at that point, I'm trying to sell a good product. You know, your product's only worth what you make of it. I'm selling firewood is in the range, so what do? I start building sheds. I'm building sheds all over my property. For one, they got to be tall enough to house a 45-foot conveyor sticking up there. It's not sticking up 45 feet, but it's sticking up. You start housing those type things just to supply dry firewood. Basically, people come to my place, we load them up in the shed, and they drive off with the wood. I don't package it, I don't deliver it, I don't take it to anybody. They come to my place and they come get it and they drive off with it. We sell hardwood. We sell campfire wood. We sell cooking wood. You know, I'm doing what I can, but at this point, this part of my business is taken away from my business. Like this right here, it's not a drain and it's not put financial strain, but it's not profitable for me at this time. I have dumped a lot of money in this category. You know, I mean, you can only imagine what the things I've been describing. But so far, this end of my business isn't generating money. And that's a problem, and that's why I'm here. I'm trying to network with whoever I can, you know, and I'd like to bump heads and see how y'all do things. But my business grew so fast, so quick, that I couldn't keep up with this problem. With this problem right here, it's hindered me in a lot of ways. I don't really know what he wanted me to talk about, but that's kind of
Well, questions
that's kind
and
of a broad
answers.
story of where I'm at.
Questions and answers.
A couple of questions, actually. One is, I'm curious, when you started out, what were you looking at on a per ton basis, if that's how it was gauged, to as far as tipping fees were concerned, and at what point, how many tons were you bringing in when they cut you off? That's one. And the other is the challenges that you have. Do you know of others who run their primary business as you did and you started off with, that have the same issues that you do over time?
Right. Everybody in the tree industry that I've met so far in my type of tree industry has the same problem. But I've not met anyone personally yet, and which they're out there, that has created a technical removal tree service to the scale that I've created. So what they do, they go and they dump illegally. They'll dump on whoever's property they can. They dump wherever. Most of the tree services that, you know, are my competitors, I guess you would say, they chip the brush and they leave the wood on the person's property. Or, you know, the business, whatever property it may be. Most of my competitors can't haul the wood. You know, that's not the service that I'm going to offer.
Now, I'm sorry, just
backing up to the original question about weight. We have tandem axle dump trucks, you know, single axle dump trucks. My single axles are tagged, most of them for 33,000 pounds. Tandem axles, you know, we can haul 50, 60,000, just depends on what you want to put in it. The problem with the landfill is the same problem as what I got. You know, now granted, I've taken care of my straight, pretty logs with the firewood processor, and I've got that pretty well good, pretty well breaking apart even with my firewood cells. I still have those knotty pieces. It's not all pretty wood. I've got 8-foot diameter pieces with knots every which way you look. The landfill, what they do is yard waste is what the landfill,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
that's what, you know, we all take to them. They have a tub grinder come in, and they grind and turn everything into mulch. Then they use a finer screen and they grind again, and that's what you call double hammered hardwood mulch. Well, the pieces, the sizes that I'm bringing to them are ridiculous.
Well, okay, notwithstanding
I mean,
the ridiculous,
so-
8 feet is.
not only am I overwhelming them and they're having to rent a tub grinder all the time, but I'm also bringing them 8-foot diameter pieces. They tell me that they want it firewood length.
Right.
My crane loads 7,000 to 12,000 pigs on a dump truck. You get 2 or 3 chunks of wood and it's gone to the landfill. I can't spend all day long with my guys sawing up, I mean, you know, a 6-foot bar just out there sawing firewood links. My workers' comp rates are 67%. I have workers' comp insurance on my people. I got, you know, if you pay 7 or 8 people to saw up the tree that was already loaded on a dump truck and gone, out of sight, out of mind, I'm done with it. Let's go to the next tree. Don't work like that. It takes 2 or 3 days to saw up the one tree that we done made that money on.
Right.
I got to go. I'm ready to go. I got to move. I'm ready on my next project. But I can't do that if I got to saw that wood up firewood length.
And you may not recall, but I'm just curious
Right.
ballpark. So when you took a load in to tip it, what would that cost you per dump?
Well, if I take a 33,000 pound single axle dump truck to the landfill, let's do the math. If the truck weighs 14,000 pounds, then, you know, 19,000 pound worth of wood. So times that by $27 a ton for yard waste, the landfill.
Yep, no, that's what I want to get to.
So yeah, I mean, I can spend $2,000 or $3,000 at the landfill in one day off of one crew. If it's a big tree, I'm running 5 crews.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
I'll mention something. I'm in the firewood business, been in this business for a long, long time.
Right?
And I follow your situation 100%. I was associated for 22 years with a large wood company outside Washington, D.C. There's 3 or 4 of them up there. I was with one of the big ones. The stuff that you're talking about and what they would do when there was excess amounts of it that could be put through a tub grinder, and you say double hammer, put into mulch,
Right.
was done so. The big stuff you're talking about, I bet I can go down there right now, and it's still sitting in the same place it was, just for nothing more than Mother Nature to have it rotted up and taken away.
Right.
I don't know who wants to deal with that, to cut that up into firewood.
Right,
It's
it's just-
just like, the amount of labor, force put forth, it's a big knotty one. Give an example of white oak, big hickory, big old knot, big old topwood tree went out. I know what you're moving.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to get rid of it. If you go to a place you can take it out in the country and put it, that's where it belongs.
Typically, the big ones, what species?
He asked what type of trees I'm dealing with. I deal with all sorts of trees. Whoever makes that phone call, what trees in their backyard, which is such a variety, it's crazy. We deal with cedar. I got cedar logs 3 and 4 foot diameter. I got black walnut. Everybody says black walnut's great. I ain't found a guy to buy black walnut yet.
That's gigantic.
Right, that guy in Morganton, who do you think gave him that wood? I did. I loaded it on
This
him.
isn't Waynesville.
Oh, okay.
But that's what I'm saying, is that a potential other?
Yeah, oh yeah. Then that's another avenue. That's more employees. That's another shed I have to build with this slabber. The guy that's already slabbing right now, I'm loading up wood and getting rid of my problem.
This guy goes all over the country, and I think he cuts them himself.
Right.
That may be our problem.
Yeah, that's something to look into, and that's why I'm here, to meet people like you with ideas. Yes, sir.
How much are you selling for wood cord?
I don't sell cords of wood. I don't sell it like that. What they do, they basically come in, we hand load pickup trucks, we load with front end loaders and Bobcats dump trucks, and we send them on their way. I don't measure it by cords,
How
what
much
I'm
like
saying.
a pickup truck load just
Yeah, how
thrown
much
in
would a
there?
pickup load cost?
A pickup load, it depends on what you want. If you want hardwood, it's $60 for a short bed, $70 for a long bed. If you want cooking wood, you're gonna pay $75 a short, $85 a long bed. If you want pine for campfires, it's $30 and $40.
So most everyone in this room is buying in logs, and I'd say the average price to buy in material is probably what, $100 a cord, around there? So you're money ahead before you start. And
Yeah.
the guy paying, whatever your labor rate is, $20-30 an hour, you can invest that into, turn that into firewood. So if you're selling a cord of wood for maybe $200, which it sounds like you are, it's probably not enough money on the sell side. You need to raise your price and then come up with a solution to take these big logs and break them down and go into the process.
Well, see, and now with the
Some of the
big,
stuff you can do with the big logs is, like, we make a whole log splitter, so whatever diameter you throw in there, smoke it into 4 pieces, throw that on your processor.
right, well, it's
We
fine.
make these skid steer screws, and, on rainy days, you go out there and twirl them on down, and,
Yeah, I've looked into the skid steer screws. I bought the biggest I-beam I could find at the local scrapyard. I took the biggest excavator I could find, broke down. I took the cylinder off of it. It's a 12-foot cylinder. I just ran it in and out to the hydraulics. I've got a bob attach from a fork plate for a bobcat. Welded it all up. You drive up to it, it'll split 4-foot lengths.
I guess my point where I was going is, you basically have $100 to invest into that material to make the equivalent of someone buying in logs.
Yeah, I'm not buying logs. I don't know how y'all guys are doing it.
Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm telling you right now, because, I bought a big processor, but the size of trees, I couldn't buy one of those 12-inch splitters out there. That's just, it doesn't fit my situation. I'm cutting trees down every day, 5 and 6 foot diameter on average. 2 or 3 days a month, we cut down 8 and 10-foot trees.
Can you sell any for, like, the wood slab market?
I have a guy in Morganton that's been coming and getting pieces. He's got the super slabber, and he's also got the Thompson or the Peterson or whatever that is. We're loading him big knotty pieces for free. Apparently, he's just opened up a shop downtown Morganton selling nothing but slabs that we've been giving him.
You can sell that wood for pretty good dollars, yeah.
Right?
Where you out of?
Shelby, North Carolina, between Asheville and Charlotte.
Yeah, you can sell along.
The chip market's about the same. By the time you buy a tub grinder, by the time you buy an excavator to load it, and then you run these big pieces trying to get rid of them, and it tears it up. You're, selling double hammered hardwood mulch at $15 a scoop.
I already know what your problem is. I agree with the gentleman. Your prices are half what they're supposed to be.
Maybe.
I'm not being mean, but your prices are half.
Right. It's hard to get more than $60 a pickup load
You
of
get rid of
firewood. Maybe I need to go up.
Raise the price. As a landscaper in Maryland, now prices are a little bit higher in Maryland because we have the most highest taxes in the world. Bulk mulch, double grind, the cheapest price I get it for, and I buy it wholesale,
Right.
is $25 a yard.
Right.
Firewood's going from $195 to $225 a cord for a true cord for a licensed firewood dealer.
Right. Well, my firewood's definitely selling when it's cool season, when it's winter season. During the summer months, no. But now, as far as the mulch goes, I've got it sitting everywhere on the lot.
Well, my vendor can't keep enough of it. He does over 2,000 cubic yards a year.
Do you get rid of all your firewood? Do you get rid of it every year? Do you have to start over, or do you always have some?
The hardwood, yes. The hardwood, yes. The cooking wood, yes.
You have some left over. You have 20 cords left over, then you maybe raise it too much.
Right.
Get rid of it all, then
Your
keep going
prices
up.
are, he's absolutely right.
Test the waters.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's a great idea because we did run out of hardwood when we had that one small snow this year.
If you run out, your prices are too cheap.
And then add a kiln, if they're buying that and it's dry, so now you sell dry for say 300 cords, you sell green for 200. You run out of dry, then you go buy a kiln, and you sell it for 400 because it's kiln dry. Just test the waters
Right?
in terms of, see what the margin is and where ooh, that's too much for wood, or hey, we want the dry wood, so. Then they start making money and you're getting that $400 or $500 a cord.
Right.
So a man named Jay Burleson, I'll give you his number, he's a Marion, he goes all over the country getting slab wood, so you're a lot closer than all over the country.
Right, yeah.
I'll be able to help you out like after the region.
In the slabwood market, one of the things they do to get the logs on portable mills, when they're large and knotty like that, take a 4-foot to 6-foot bar, cut 2 slots into it from the top, pack with black powder, it just splits it in half.
Yeah, see, I've been doing that as well.
Yeah.
Yes, oh yeah. I got black powder for days.
Why isn't that working? Because then you can put it on a splitter once you've done that.
You think I had that campfire and invited them to eat? and they didn't like the hot dogs and marshmallows. They sure don't like that noise. Believe me, black powder was the funnest route yet. Yeah.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Because you said you had workman's comp and everything. It sounds
Yes,
like
sir.
you're 100% legal company, which is a very hard thing
See,
to
and
run.
that is what drives a lot of my costs up, because we mess with power lines. We're craning trees apart. We're messing with chainsaws. Chainsaws are the most dangerous tool on the planet, according to certain magazines. We deal with chippers. I don't know if you heard about the guy who got sucked up in the chipper the other week in Kings Mountain. That's 10 miles from the house. My workers' comp rate is 67%. That means basically, if I have 100,000 in payroll, you have 67,000 to match in workman's comp. I've got mid-20s people. Don't take long to do $100,000 worth of payroll.
But my question is, because I'm in the same boat with you.
Right, yeah.
But
Workman's
on
comp
the
is
landscaping
ridiculous.
side,
Right, landscaping, you're
it's
probably
very
what, 13,
competitive.
14%?
We're up to 60-70%.
Okay.
How do you go about hiring?
How you go about hiring? You drug test them.
Right? What do you do when 90% of the people on the interview tell you flat out they would not pass the drug test?
Don't hire them.
Then you look at their application and keep flipping the page, brother.
All right. I just always wonder if I'm the only one out there.
Yeah, when I try to hire somebody, I try to hire quality, because I don't want those accidents. If my insurance did go, if my workman's comp went up, that could be devastating to my business. Like I said, 67%. That's ridiculous.
I'm right there with you.
Yes, and right now we're claim free of any sort, whether it be an auto policy, whether it be workers' comp or liability at someone's property. But yeah, the reason the firewood business, I'm guessing, is the most drain of my business, I guess you could say, is because of my workman's comp insurance and its high rates. But my insurance company considers it part of the process, because it's the same tree that we took down at someone's house. It's the same wood that we're dealing with on the property.
Why don't you separate your businesses?
Right.
Yeah, and don't hire
That's what
more
we
than 2
do.
people, because in North Carolina, you don't have workers' comp.
Right?
Allocate a certain part of your yard for your firewood business, so when your tree company comes in, it actually can sell it to that company. Then that way, the insurance company visualizes it being separate businesses altogether.
That's a very good idea.
To reduce your workman's comp rate down to probably, as a fresh business, probably around 12 to 14.
Right.
And you can still show loss on that business too, and get benefits from your taxes also. So there might be a lot of wins.
Right.
Co-productive. Yeah.
All right. Those are really good ideas. Thank you.
Well, I tell you, I thought Stephen would do a good job, but he's done a great job because he suffered so much.
Yeah.
One of the things we say about the firewood business is you pay for your education in the firewood business. Because down the road, you learn a lot of stuff you didn't know about when you first got started. But I've got a couple ideas on your problem, okay? You've got the big logs that may be 5 or 6 feet in diameter, right? Okay. The forest industries has all kinds of equipment people out there. I really want to give a great hand for all the equipment people that brought things for us to see for show and tell. This is the most equipment we've ever had, and I'm very grateful for all the equipment people that brought these things and demoed them. And my buddy Sam, who's out there loading his truck, he's tickled to death. He got these logs on his farm, and he's going home with all this wood. And I said, Sam, if you bring us the wood, we'll cut it and give it back to you. So Sam is all for that. But it seems like to me, in the forest industries, we've got saws that cut whole packs of lumber. You know, they'll bring a whole pack of wood in, and it'll be a double post saw that it could be any length you want, but usually they're chains and they've got oilers, and they trim the ends. And it may be that that's what you want to do, is to get up with a forestry company that can put you on the ground, some kind of a drag chain where you can move it 2 feet at a time or 16 inches or whatever, and just cut through that whole thing and get one that's big enough for a 6, 8, or 10-foot tree, ever what you want. It'll be custom made, but I think that's what you want to do, is get you a block, and then once you get a block, go from there. But that's my guess, is really what you want to do. In some way, you got to come up with a process that every week, whatever comes in goes out, so you don't have an accumulation. And you know, yeah, you can bust it with a screw, you can do that, and then you can run that through the processor. It's look at different options, but one of the reasons we come here is to network and different ideas and who knows what. What I always say is nobody knows it all, but all of us know something. And if you've done something stupid, you really learned that one, right? So that's kind of getting ahead. So what we've had with Stephen here is a wonderful example of, here's a high-end arborist. In all the metro areas especially, and you're not the biggest metro area, but you're a high-end operation. And the ones in Charlotte, it's kind of interesting. Did anybody hear Damon Barron's talk earlier next door today? Sean did, and you guys, Mark did. He is putting together a network of related companies that can take these urban trees and deal the logs out to whoever needs them. Now, last week, Ed Chase's group did a webinar, and this graduate student from Virginia Tech went to DC to try to figure out what is the quality of street trees. So if they take a street tree off the right-of-way, what has it got? And they went with metal detectors trying to count the number of staples and the number of nails. And guess what they found out? 70% of the trees had staples and 20% had nails, okay, and screws. So if you're in the sawmill business, Sean is from Warren Wilson College. The students run bandsaws up there. What's the chance of hitting a nail if it's in a log with a sawmill? 100%. If you've got a sawmill, you will absolutely hit every nail that's in there. There's no way around it. But a firewood processor, it's a less likely chance of hitting a nail. So in a lot of ways, in the urban areas, firewood is a better option than trying to cut lumber. Now, it's important that we use these trees out of the urban forest, because that saves us from wasting trees from the rural areas. Most of your loggers and landowners and so forth, they try to not get you trees that's got barbed wire and deer stands in them. Though I once was at a sawmill and the fellow said, you got to see this log somebody brought in last week for me to custom saw, because it had 20 feet of barbed wire still hooked to it. No, that's just not very smart. So in the rural areas, I tried to get Marlon Kreider to come, and he runs a firewood business up in Todd, North Carolina, near Jefferson and Boone. His company is called Paul Bunyan, and he is a rural logger. He has a logging crew, and they go out and do the wood. And he's got 2 processors, and he uses the processors to market his low-grade, small-diameter pulpwood. So if you go to his firewood operation, an 8-inch log is a big log for him in the firewood business. But he's got a very experienced crew, And he uses the firewood business as a fill-in. If it's too wet to be in the woods, what do? Those guys can get their hours running the firewood business. And we've got several people that do that as part of their business. And some, one of the gentlemen I was talking today has a farming operation. So whenever the guys can't work out in the farm, they go cut firewood. So it's a fill-in. You're trying to, in your business, do something productive every day. You know, if you can't make a lot of money, at least don't lose any money, right? So firewood can fit in. Stephen has way more challenges than probably anybody else here to deal with. And I've been down to his place, and yeah, I used to see the smoke, and he said it's real frustrating. I've got all the permits and all the approvals to do what I'm doing, but when that person complains, the government official said, we're tired of getting these complaints, you can't burn anymore. So now you got to go do something else. So he's running a very high-end business, and you get these challenges, workers' comp and other things. So if you can come up with a better way to block up that ugly wood and get it split up, I'll come down and help you. Maybe we can look at it again and see if we can figure something out. We have in this area several companies that make forestry equipment, sawmills and other things, and there are people to look at. The guys who brought machines here, they've got ideas too. Marcus with Multitech mentioned a couple of them. So, you know, if you got a problem, you got to deal with it till you get it solved. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
And I'd like to add one thing. Like I said, my processor, if I run it 2 or 3 days a week, it pretty well handles all the logs that I can do and that we've provided, right? Maybe not even 2 or 3 days a week, maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I had to buy such a big processor because of the size of wood we're bringing in. If anybody here is somewhat within a few hours drive local, I would be willing to bring my processor and come split your logs for a fee. And also kind of give you an idea of what these type machines will do. You can see them, but it'll also keep my machine busy because I've got a super expensive machine sitting, you know, 3, sometimes 4 days a week. If anybody needs any help, want to see something like that operate, I can bring that setup to you with a couple loaders and a couple guys so we can split logs and help you get rid of your problem until you could afford to buy one of these machines out here or made a move from such a, you know what I mean? No, just trying to keep my machine busy.
What size machine is it?
It'll take 30-inch logs. It's a Bell's 8000 processor. I've got the big conveyor with it, so I can make a pile of firewood.
What's the horsepower on that, Steve?
180.
Yeah, it's got some power.
Yeah.
What's the max wedge head you have?
12 weight.
12 weight?
But now, and there again, it takes such a big piece of wood. You know, you got to think about it. If you put a small piece up and you split it 12 ways, then you've got what you guys are bundling, right? If you put the max log that my machine can handle, it's split in 12 ways, but one piece of my firewood is the size of the bundles that y'all are bundling. I mean, you know, that's the truth, and old lady Sue can't put that in her wood stuff. You know, I mean, my firewood needs to be firewood processed. You know, it depends on the size of the piece, it depends on the type of wood you put through it. It depends on the type of wood. You know, if you put a 12-inch tree, you know, super small, it's going to split it 12 ways. Now, my head's interchange, I can do it 8 to 10 as well.
If I stack all my stuff that's too big for my machine aside, like once a year, I could use you for a day.
Yeah, definitely.
Lay it to it.
I got a
Definitely,
question.
I'll come see you one day a year. Keep those the knots off the logs and you got them stacked and ready. If I can come in there with a loader and load my machine, I can spit you some firewood out.
We got a boom, I can probably load the machine with that.
There you
Just put it
go.
right next to it. And
There you go. That's less people in machinery I need to bring to your place.
Question.
You're there.
If you did that, what would be my cost?
Your cost is going to totally depend on what I got to bring to make it happen. If I bring my machine and my conveyor, do I need to bring something to load it as well? I mean,
Yeah,
then
let's
again,
just say the splitter, a loader, and a conveyor.
meet up with me after this, I'll give you a price.
Okay.
I need to know where you live.
I live too far.
You done said, yeah, you done said you live a long ways away. I need pay me one way.
good.
Okay, what, so we've kicked around here issues and problems. He's done a wonderful job and he's still working on it. He doesn't have the ultimate solution. He solved one problem, but it seems like other problems just crop up. So, you know, you'll have to keep your head down and still keep working. But I was driving down, he is on, I think it's Post Road on the north side there of Shelby. And it's interesting, you would think that area wouldn't support a high-level business as his and Arborist, but you do very well. You're busy and you got a lot of crews, so. There's a lot of people like him out there that have this problem. So when you look around saying, who can I help, what can I do? The arborists, if you're in the firewood business, are good people to network with. And again, you need the attitude is there's always one more person that needs to know who I am, right? So you have to go out there and get it. Any questions or comments here? If you do, we'll just break early here a little bit. We're supposed to come back, I think, at 2:30. Now, I do have a change. I screwed up last night, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whenever I was doing these. I've got the wrong thing here for this room. The last one of the day is not understanding the bundle business. I think we've covered that. What we're going to do is talk about the firewood processor study I'm doing and automation. I'm going to talk about automating the firewood business. So I hope you'll stay for that one. We're not doing the last hour over there. So that blank is correct, but I copied the wrong one over. And I guess I shouldn't be working at 1:30 in the morning. But I've tried to get it all over. So let's take a break. If you need any drinks or stuff, they're out there at the end of the table.